Hi and welcome at IBC 2019. We're at Newtek and we're going to talk about everything new with NDI 4.
This year's IBC coverage is brought to you by Newtek, Blackmagic Design, Signiant, and G Technology.
Let's start with the company Newtek has become, because now there's basically 3 brands, am I correct?
What we have now, this year, is the VizRT Group. And the VizRT Group is the overall company brand for the organization. Within the VizRT Group, we have 3 distinct brands. VizRT, of course, Newtek, and now for the first time as its own brand is NDI.
Why did you go for this particular move? Why make NDI a separate brand?
So what's really happened with NDI, which is really exciting and great since 2015, is that NDI has grown beyond a single company, right? It started with Newtek, but it's really gone way beyond that. So now, not just with the acquisition and involvement with VizRT, which is also an NDI user, but there's so many other partners out there, people who are doing software applications, hardware devices, and really importantly, end users who are downloading the NDI SDK for their own implementations. So it was really important to give the NDI brand its own equal footing and standing.
And now there's obviously a new version out, NDI 4.
So here at IBC, what you're seeing with the new NDI brand is, its own NDI website. So it's now ndi.tv, which is a place where you go to get all the information about partners and what's happening. But starting here at IBC is the new NDI 4 version SDK download. So now it's available with all the latest features that we announced and started talking about at NAB this year.
So can you go briefly into some of these features that are new and probably very exciting?
So there's a whole range of new features for NDI. A lot of them have to do with codec quality. A lot of them have to do with more IT functions in terms of being able to use new transport mechanisms for better performance, reliability, robustness. But if I had to tell you what was the single most exciting thing about the 4-hour release, I definitely would have to say NDI Capture and Record. So NDI Capture and Record is really kind of revolutionary in terms of expanding NDI, for one thing, beyond just where it started, which was live production, and now starting to offer a solution that works even in the post-production side. So what happens now is that NDI can be captured, and not just as a stream, but now wrapped as a file. So it can be put into any sort of application that you're used to, just like any other sort of NDI file. But with NDI, unlike, say, SDI, you also get key, you get metadata, you get control, you get all these other goodness and functions with it. Another interesting thing is that we timestamp, we computer timestamp. So as that NDI stream is captured and comes into a system, it gets a timecode stamp. But it doesn't need a separate timecode generator because it's using computer time. And we can even expand that to multiple computers. So take that to the next step, which is, if I'm doing multicam production, maybe I want to do multicam editing. So we've also released an NDI import for Adobe Creative Cloud. So now I can go into certainly After Effects, but of course Premiere, and be able to take those NDI files. The Adobe application is going to say, oh, I understand, I see an NDI file, and bring those directly on the timeline, and now I have a solution for not just editing, but multicam editing.
And then obviously we have to talk about this rack that's next to you, because normally this would probably be somewhere in the back and you wouldn't see it. Why did you choose to put it prominently over here?
Right. So as part of the whole messaging about VizRT Group, you're going to see a tagline that talks about software-defined visual storytelling. And the subheader to that is about IP video. Well, obviously NDI is one solution. It's not the only solution that's out there. But this is kind of a real-world demonstration of how the advantages and benefits go to users and customers who are trying to implement IP. Because right here, in this rack that's next to me, is the entire set of kit that's running the whole booth here. So every pod over there is running NDI, and they could show a variety of applications, not just one, but everything is attached to one central, small, compact, low-cost implementation, and this sort of proves it visually when you walk up and see it.
And this also means that whichever booth I'm at, or whichever station I'm at the stand, you can basically grab anything from this one centralized rack, right?
Yeah, so one of the beauties of NDI is that it's a very simple format in the aspect that it does auto discovery. So anything that's an NDI compatible device, whether that's a software application, whether that's a hardware device, immediately becomes available on the network. So that means if these are NDI sources sitting next to me, any place that's here or at a customer position that has access to the NDI source can access it, use it, however they want to do in whatever workflow they're using.
You're basically proving that here in the stand, right?
So as you come around the stand here, you can see live production systems, you can see conversion, you can see graphics, you can see all the goodness that we have, and each station technically can grab any one of those applications, any one of those capabilities as you need it.
So we're now seeing the front of the rack.
Right.
What's so special about the back of the rack?
So here in this visual shot, obviously you're seeing the front of the rack with the equipment and the nice lights, but of course the business end is the back end, right? And in the back end you see all the cabling and connection. But if we were to recreate that same thing in an SDI world, you would see an exponential number of cables compared to what you're going to see here, which is quite nice, neat, and tidy.
This year's IBC coverage is brought to you by Newtek, Blackmagic Design, Signiant, and G Technology.